Hey guys, we're the Sub-Auteurs, and again, welcome to another episode. Today we will be recording about people you're gonna call when there's something strange in the neighborhood. Who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters!
There you go. Now I guess you know what we'll be talking about.
Yay!
I'm Anja.
I'm Mai.
And I'm Misha.
Yung boses ko baby voice pa rin. Sorry. I'm Mai.
There
I'm
you
a mature
go.
adult.
I'm Misha.
How can you not like the Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters are awesome.
Yeah. Ask Misha. Check out Misha's Instagram page.
Yes. Please check out Misha's Instagram at Misha Lecaros. He has this awesome video.
Yes, Misha, for our listeners, can you tell them what you have?
So I was minding my own business when Toy Kingdom called me up to ask me if I wanted this Ghostbusters gun. And I was like, yes, please.
No hesitation.
No, that was easy. No, because it was like 30% off, and then they had a sale. It was like another 10% off. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yes, just send it to my house.
So I guess
Guns. So I tested it on my dog.
your dog's not a ghost.
Dexter, for that day, he was a ghost. I asked him very nicely.
Oh yes, he did ask in his video, to be fair. Are you a ghost? No!
Yes, but now it backfired because now every time he hears the damn thing powering up, he thinks we're gonna play.
Oh.
Yes. So I guess now our
creature.
listeners know who the biggest Ghostbusters fan is.
Lord, I've been watching these guys since I was 5 years old.
I watched the reruns.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, we watched the reruns.
We watched the reruns.
In my defense, I started on the cartoons before I ever saw the movies.
Yes.
You know, I was too young to watch the movies before.
Yeah, but then again, you know, Mai and I just watched the reruns of the cartoons too.
And the movies. 'Cause, like the first one, I wasn't even born. And
Same here.
I was one.
Yes, but now we will be talking about the latest Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yes. And what did you guys think about it?
Feelings.
Whoa.
I did not.
Feelings. Whoa,
I didn't expect that.
Feelings.
Yeah, I was just in for it, and I did not expect this whole nostalgia trip along with it. It's like I was really not expecting it, but in a good way, in a really good way, it surprised me. I did not expect. Okay, I'm gonna say it right out here. I did not expect to cry that much.
You know what? You know what?
Same.
You know what? It's the same thing with me. Actually, Misha caught it before the both of us did. And he actually messaged me. He was like, you have to watch Ghostbusters Afterlife. I swear I cried. And then I said, oh, that's nice. Misha really enjoyed it. Because I knew that Misha was a Ghostbusters fan. And then I saw it. And then I started messaging Misha. Misha, what the fuck? Why am I crying this much?
Dude, even my mother was crying. What the hell?
It's just, you know, like, there's a way of picking up on a 38-year-old franchise and somehow kind of continuing from it and soft rebooting the whole thing for a new generation of viewers.
Yeah, take that, Matrix Resurrections.
That should not have been resurrected.
Yes, that is true. I was surprised by the amount of love that went into this movie because you can like really see it from the very beginning. It's easy to reference things like the score or iconic props, sound effects, music, but to do them in a way that does justice to what came before while still finding a way to entertain people who have no idea what happened 40 years ago. I mean, I think the balance was there, and a big part of it came from the fact that it was directed by Jason Reitman, the original director's son.
Yeah,
When you go into the backstory, I might start crying again.
You know what else? Well, I know. Can you tell us something more interesting about his work on set while directing this movie?
Yeah, Jason Reitman, the director, like usually we know him for like small character-based dramas like Juno or Moon. So this is the first time he actually tried to do a blockbuster, but he really, really wanted to do this properly because he wanted to make his father proud. His father was Ivan Reitman, the director of Ghostbusters 1 in 84 and Ghostbusters 2 in 1989. And his father was actually a producer on this film, and he was on set every single day while they were shooting this thing. So can you imagine the pressure? Like, you know, you got your family legacy. His words, not mine. It's his family legacy on his shoulders. And he's got his dad next to him, making sure he doesn't fuck up.
Aww.
Well, yeah, but then again, he was the one who asked his dad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was. So, like, he was shooting himself in the foot to begin with. It was an uphill climb. I would, you know, that. How scary is that, you know? For years and years, this was Columbia TriStar's highest grossing film ever, Ghostbusters. It was the highest grossing film of 1984, and it was the highest grossing comedy until like Home Alone 8 years later. So he had a big shoes to fill, basically.
And the fact that it was created with so much love for an actor that passed away.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah. Fill those shoes he did. This was such a great movie. It was so much fun watching, you know, seeing all those little anecdotes to the first two movies. You know, those callbacks were just, you know, subtle but still there.
Mm-hmm.
And add to the fact that the new characters are also charming as well, and they're kids.
I did not expect that. Kids are usually hella annoying in movies.
Mm-hmm.
But no, not here. It kind of like I told Misha because we caught it ahead of Mai. So when we were just messaging each other about Afterlife, I said like this movie felt like the Goonies, you know,
in a good way.
In a good way, because it's rare to have a good movie that's Goonies like, you know. But then they were able to achieve it while also, you know, linking it to an older franchise. So just like with these kids as new characters, can you tell us a little bit more about the story, Misha?
So the movie opens in a small town, like in the middle of nowhere, and you see somebody who's clearly meant to be an elder version of Egon from the original movies, the smart Ghostbuster, and he's running away from some horrible demonic force, and basically he dies. He dies in the first 5 minutes. That's not a spoiler. And you never really see his face, but you know it's him, right? You get the silhouette. And
the hair, especially.
The hair, absolutely.
Yeah. You can't ignore the hair.
And then we're introduced to his daughter, apparently, who he abandoned years ago. He left the mom, and she's got her own. The daughter now has her own family. She's a single mom, and she goes to take over Egon's old farm. And her daughter is like, basically, you know, she's Egon's granddaughter from the very beginning.
She had the hair.
She has the hair. She's got the whole deadpan thing. The terrible
the
jokes.
Glasses. Nerdiness.
Yep. And as the granddaughter, Phoebe, discovers more about the strange old town, she also finds herself learning more about her grandfather and realizing that he wasn't just some crazy old man and that there's more to this small town than anybody even knows. So yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, and I love how the whole thing was set up to kind of like portray, at the beginning at least, it was set up to portray Egon as maybe an asshole for abandoning his family. Also, he's got this reputation in town for being this crazy guy. Everybody called him Dirt Farmer for some weird reason because he was this weirdo who had his own world, who had his little gadgets and conspiracy theories that maybe people never understood.
Right.
So and that it opens up like that.
And then there's like the people that they meet in the town, you know. There's this kid, his name is Podcast, and he's just interested in everything. He's kind of awesome.
I love Podcast.
He could have been so fucking annoying. Yeah, like, oh, call me Podcast, because I call myself Podcast. But no, he was just effing charming.
Yeah.
And Finn Wolfhard is here as Phoebe's brother, and he's not annoying either as the emo elder brother who's trying to score with a local girl who has a boyfriend.
Who is also older than he is.
And then you got Paul Rudd as the summer school science teacher, and he's just the most useless teacher ever, but he's kind of awesome also.
Hey,
cannot
I
hate
would
Paul
enjoy
Rudd.
his class. I would enjoy his class. He would just like force the kids to watch movies. I would
Old
enjoy
horror
that.
You know what?
movies.
He should have been handling a science class. He should have been handling a film 101 class. 'Cause that's all that he did. Like, have you guys seen Cujo? It's like, okay. Make them
Or
watch a
Child's
horror movie
Play.
about a monster dog. It's like, no, crazy.
Mhm.
Poor kids
But-
didn't learn a thing about science.
Yeah, but probably had
just to
good
give you
taste in
guys
horror movies.
context about how excited I was for this movie. I mean, honestly, Ghostbusters is the first thing I can ever remember loving, and that's not even an exaggeration. I knew the words to the theme song before I knew the national anthem. Okay, stuff like that. And I remember, I remember how excited I was. I think I was like 6 or 7. My parents got me a proton pack, and it was like the best thing ever. And honestly, like, I mean, even when like Extreme Ghostbusters came around, the spin-off to the first cartoon
I
came out.
loved that
in the-
series.
That was like the late 90s, I think. It just woke it all up again. My love for this franchise. Honestly, one of, if not the first DVD I ever bought was Ghostbusters, and then later on it was Blu-ray. I still have VHS tapes somewhere. Like the first thing I ever bought on eBay was a fucking Ecto one, like a vintage one. So that was like 1999 or
He's
something.
just flexing on his collection right
I
now.
know.
No,
I
it's
know.
just- I'm just saying.
I'm surprised he's not wearing his new proton pack right now.
No, I fell in love with the cartoon, and then it was later on that I discovered that it was based on a couple of movies. And the first one I saw was Ghostbusters 2, and it fucking scared me because fucking painting came to life. And, as a child, that's fucking terrifying. But it was just cool because I was seeing these things like, this was a cartoon that I was already a fan of. By the time I saw it in live action, it was like this amazing, not exotic thing. And I was like, holy crap, you can do that in real life? It looked real. I thought it was real because I was an idiot.
You were a child. It's okay.
But
Yeah, I mean, you make do with what you had back in the 80s.
But later on, I saw the first movie. Thank you so much, asshole. Jackass. But no, I eventually discovered the first movie because again, I saw the second one first and I just completely fell in love with it. And there's a reason that people can still quote it almost 4 decades later because it was just this weird lightning in a bottle thing where you had like, at the time, a blockbuster comedy director with his crazy talented cast of SNL and Second City TV veterans. And they were just the right people at the right place at the right time. And it really shouldn't have worked. Comedy and horror don't always go well together.
Mhm.
But with the level of snark and sarcasm, and then at the time, groundbreaking special effects, nobody had ever seen anything like that before. At least not only one place.
Mhm.
So you can see why it appealed to people, I guess.
You know what's even more impressive is that when they were filming the first Ghostbusters movie, they were behind schedule with the VFX
Mhm.
back then, and I think they were struggling. I think they literally had the film rolls hot off the presses delivered to the films to theaters for before it
I
premiered.
think part of the reason was because like they said it would. I remember like when somebody interviewed Ivan Reitman and they asked him, "How did you get this movie sold?" And he was saying that people weren't sure whether or not it would work. And so when he was asked how much it would cost, he was just fed up. He just gave a stupid number. He didn't expect anybody to say yes. And then the studio said yes. He said like, $30 million. And then they're like, yes, but you have to have it out in 11 months. So like, shit. So, forced to good. He had to come up with a story with Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. And they came up with some good stuff. But a lot of the best stuff was basically let Bill Murray do whatever the hell he wants.
Oh, it's Bill Murray. God, I love him so much.
And apparently Ernie Hudson, who played Winston in those old movies, he had trouble because he comes from a traditional theater background. Everyone around him was from improv or stand-up. So every take would be different. He's like, what the hell is going on?
That's what I love about improv. It's just you reacting with no script, just based on knowing your character and just playing off of each other. And it just worked so well. Like it really highlights chemistry if ever
Yes.
there is chemistry.
I totally agree.
And something else that's fun about those old movies, the first two movies, is that they are such love letters to the city of New York. Honestly, like to this day, New Yorkers, they you know, this is one of their favorite. This is one of the quintessential New York movies. And even the firehouse where they shot the exteriors of the Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters headquarters, to this day, they still put up their logo. Actually, is still the logo from the movie with the fireman's helmet, and they actually put up the old "No Ghost" sign every time there's a big geek event in town, because people still come every day to take pictures in front of it. And actually, when Harold Ramis passed away in 2014, people were leaving flowers in front of the firehouse, and they still do that now on the anniversary of his death. They did it again when Afterlife premiered in November, December last year. So yeah, it's kind of like one of those cool things.
It's funny how you mentioned the word love letter, because this the way I see this movie is that it was a love letter for Harold Ramis.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, and it's just the perfect way of revitalizing or reintroducing this franchise to a new generation. Because when I saw it, I was like, oh, it could actually stand alone. If you just watch it without watching the first two movies, it can stand alone. It's an isolated story. How some movies pick up from with characters who have hang-ups from the previous generation, and this is one of those movies. So without really watching the first two movies, you will still enjoy this. You will still the story is still complete. It's just a testament of how good the writing was and how good Jason Reitman was, and how much of a good call it was having his father on set.
As stressful as it may have been for him.
I think he just enjoyed the process. I mean,
it's entirely possible, because his dad has done blockbusters. His dad was like the producer of Space Jam. He directed a bunch of movies. He directed Kindergarten Cop, Twins, Junior, the two Ghostbusters movies. And so he was used to like big stars, big budgets, big movies. So I guess it kind of helped his kid having him around. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm sure it definitely helped. And of course, it's just like having the author of whoever wrote a certain book of a blockbuster you have on your side. It's always good to have that point of view of probably asking this person, would this character do this? Would this character do that? And how things turned out for the original generation of Ghostbusters, which we will probably discuss later on, just made so much sense. There was not one moment where I was like, Egon wouldn't do that, or Ray wouldn't do that. It is absolutely true to its character, even though it is like 30 years after the fact.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, because it's kind of like a passing of the torch. It's a generational thing, because there was the passing of the torch of the characters, and then of course Jason Reitman picks up from his father's work. It's kind of symbolic in a way. It's pretty cool. We've talked about what we loved about the franchise and about this movie in general. Let's talk about the characters. Which characters did you guys enjoy the most? Did you guys hate anyone or any of the characters?
There was absolutely nobody to hate here. Yes, Phoebe's cool. I want to be Phoebe when I grew up. What?
No, I don't. Hey,
what?
Yeah,
I think you have some years on her.
Just kidding. But no, she's spunky. She's sarcastic. She's actually pretty freaking cool.
She is.
I like that she's comfortable in her own skin.
Yeah. It's like, I'll do what I want because this is me. Like she knew it, and she knew she had science down to her bones.
I also like Paul Rudd as Mr. Gruberson.
Oh, of course.
He was just Paul Rudd as himself, but I'm okay with that.
It's kind of amusing how Paul Rudd was probably the most recognizable name. Just straight off the bat, if you look at the poster or the trailer, he's the most recognizable person. You'd think that he's the selling point. He's probably going to steal the show. But no, he was actually one of the side characters. Not really minor, but the side character. And he is not the star. And it still worked.
He was kind of like the Rick Moranis of this movie.
Comic relief in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of. But the kids really drove it home.
Yes.
It's funny how you said,
absolutely.
you mentioned the word scene stealer, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This podcast.
Podcast.
I mean, podcast
Podcast
stole
is
the
cool.
show. Podcast is like the funniest kid I've seen in a long time. I don't think I've seen a kid with that great, that sense of comedic timing. He did so well.
And like Misha said, it's so easy for this nerd who has a podcast who talks about conspiracies and paranormal stuff to be just like written off as the weird kid, weird, annoying kid. But he just brought a whole level of charm to it. And and how this friendship forms between him and Phoebe, they're both kind of like smart for their age.
I guess they're outcasts, I guess.
A little bit, I guess.
Or no, kind of like odd outcasts, but I think they're both very oddballs, but they're both very comfortable with who they are. Like at a young age, they knew who they were, which is refreshing.
It is.
Yeah.
Because you usually have these characters being bullied by popular kids in stereotypical kids movies where school is involved. They're gonna be made fun of. But there was none of that here, and they were just allowed to be who they are, which I really appreciated.
The Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, were bullied.
Yeah.
By the city of New York, by the government,
and even by their old school. That's why they went into business for themselves. They got thrown out of their university for being scam artists.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned earlier how Podcast and Phoebe are okay with being themselves, because you got somebody like Trevor, who the elder brother, who's played by Finn Wolfhard.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ben Kingsley.
He's the no.
Trevor, the actor.
Trevor, he's an actor.
Wrong franchise.
See, Finn Wolfhard's character, he's like your typical teenager who basically will say anything to get laid, honestly. Because, he doesn't
about
know
his age.
He doesn't know who he is, what he wants or whatever, other than he wants to get laid. But he's basically, he's a teenager. He's still trying to figure himself out. That's why it's kind of funny that the kids who are younger than him, they're happy with who and what they are.
Yep. But he had the driver's license, though.
Yeah, he did have the driver's license.
And I don't know, big curly hair runs in the family, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's true. There's somebody in this movie that I did not expect. I mean, slight spoilers, but I didn't expect to see J.K. Simmons in this movie.
Holy shit, yes.
But
what the fuck? And he even plays this, not even a character in the older movies. He's literally a line. One line.
He's just the guy who built Sigourney Weaver's building. But, we never actually saw him before.
He's a plot device in the whole movie.
Yes. Then he shows up for like 2 seconds.
Like fucking J.K. Simmons.
I think 10 seconds
before he splits.
He died in the most violent way possible, though. In one of the most violent ways possible.
That was cool, though.
Still awesome. I mean, J.K. Simmons.
I know.
You know what character I also found myself enjoying was the spiritual successor of Slimer.
Oh, the little blue worm thing.
That muncher thing.
That muncher that's so dangerous.
When I saw it.
It really is.
When I saw it, I was like, holy shit, did Slimer also get old and gray? Like
but
everybody.
No.
But no, unfortunately, it wasn't Slimer. I was a little bit disappointed when I realized, it's not Slimer. But he was so pretty cute.
He was. Mm-hmm. Actually, to be fair, because Slimer's OG, this one's a little bit cuter than Slimer, but Slimer is OG.
Slimer is OG, but he was a good successor, to be honest.
He was cute when he was flying around.
And eating random metal stuff.
And
something that's fun is like, if you're one of those people who just got so fucking sick of Frozen, like one of the vocalists for Muncher was actually Josh Gad.
Me.
Really?
So it was very satisfying to see him get blasted over and over again. Take that, Olaf.
He was so cute though, just munching his way around and
regurgitating it to kill people.
And
It's like a machine gun.
and he has amazing
kinda
comic
cool, though.
timing. The comic timing of that fire hydrant scene where he's just like munching it and then he sees the kids and like a short pregnant pause and he just like unleashes hell on the kids.
Yeah.
And can I just say, like, again, we mentioned earlier that Jason Reitman is like traditionally a director of dramas, you know, introspective character pieces. That was a kick-ass car chase.
Mm-hmm.
That was very well done. I don't know where he pulled that out of, but that was pretty cool.
I like the fact that they made improvements to the Ecto-1 because the Ecto-1 is also a character.
Yes.
It is.
It's one of the dorkiest designs ever, but I love it.
Dude,
And the weirdest sirens ever. It's weird. It's iconic. And
it is.
You build a patrol car out of a freaking hearse.
It's right up there with a DeLorean as far as, you know, immortal movie cars go. And that was actually the original one. They restored it for this movie.
Aww.
Which is...
Except for the bits where, you know, they were like jumping it and driving it through fields. Apparently what they did was they took a pickup truck with 4x4 drive and then they just mapped the Ecto-1 onto that because they could not risk the original one for the more dangerous stuff.
I understand. But that was a really fun scene though where Finn Wolfhard or Stranger Things boy or
Stranger Things boy
or Find Trevor. I actually really enjoyed that sequence where he finally got it to run and he was just like driving it through the fields and you could see he was having such a good time.
Yes.
I felt like I was in the car having fun with him, just riding it, and he was like banging on the dashboard, so excited that he was able to revive this ancient car. I felt the joy.
I think that goes back to what Anjo said, which is awesome, is that this character wasn't afraid to let the new characters stand on their own. You know, it made us fall in love with these new characters. So even if there are 8 million references to what happened, you know, in the first two movies, you don't need those first two movies to enjoy this because the characters are well developed.
Yep. And you know, these characters are in some way are kind of spiritual successors to the previous characters without being too similar that, you know, you just say like, oh, they're knockoffs. They're not because they're so different, but yet you still identify some of them with characters from the original movie because obviously Egon is Phoebe, though. And you know, the way podcast was, the whole vibe, he kind of like gave me this whole Dan Aykroyd vibe.
He's like Ray. He's just happy to be there.
yeah, you know, he's the enthusiastic one, the one who gets overexcited about things, and we kind of see some of that in the later parts of the movie when the OG Ghostbusters come in. Spoilers.
And
I guess we can talk about that.
And also how, you know, Peter was the ladies' man. Although Trevor isn't there yet, you can kind of see that connection. He's very far from actually getting the girl, but he's on his way, I guess.
And he has a better hairline than Bill Murray.
Yeah, he did. He did. I also did mention that Paul Rudd was kind of like the Rick Moranis of this movie. And, you know, like how Rick Moranis was like the bumbling idiot of the original franchise. Paul Rudd wasn't an idiot, but, you know, he was still kind of like
No, but I
clumsy.
like that Paul Rudd was like the audience analog for anyone who grew up like, as a fan. Because Paul Rudd is like totally a fanboy in this movie.
Yes.
Like when he first sees the Ghostbusters tech, he's like, oh, wow, cool replica. He doesn't know it's the real thing.
Yeah.
But honestly, you know, when you find a ghost trap, your first instinct should not be to open it.
Oh, fuck no.
Like, he knew what it was, but he still let these 10-year-old kids open it up on school grounds.
That was not smart.
He's the enabler. That's why, like,
that wasn't smart, but I understand it.
You know, that's why I said he's not an idiot in a sense, and he's kind of an idiot in a different sense because of stupid things like these.
You know, it could possibly be a jackpot. What if it was actually Slimer in there? Then that would be fun. You know, there are chances that it might have been Slimer for some weird reason. I'll take the chance.
Fair enough. But I like how the movie is absolutely shameless about the callbacks and the nostalgia, but somehow it doesn't feel offensive. They found a way to introduce these things organically into the story that they were trying to tell.
No, because everything was so on the nose, but they're still they weren't forced in. They weren't kind of shoehorned into
You weren't
the movie.
eye rolling it. Well, okay, I had to eye roll when the girl's dad asked them who you gonna call when they were arrested.
Hey, I like that.
I like it, but if the whole movie was like that, we wouldn't find it so entertaining. I think
It wasn't.
Well, at least
the whole
just
movie
one
was
moment.
that. Yes, I agree.
Okay, I also want to talk about like our favorite callbacks. I love that somehow we see the same villain from the first one.
Yes.
I'm not just talking about I'm just not talking about the main demon or anything. The Gozer. I'm not just talking about Gozers because yes, we will see Gozer again. I'm talking about the little marshmallow man.
They were so cute.
I'm so happy that we saw the marshmallows again. Because I just gotta share, okay? I had to watch this again. I had to watch the older ones again because I thought like, oh, it's been years and years and years since I've seen these movies, and maybe I'll appreciate Afterlife more if I get a refresher. And I totally did. When I watched the first one and saw the giant marshmallow man, I clearly remember as a little girl saying, "What's the big deal with a giant marshmallow? Everybody could just like eat him and defeat him." That was little my completely unaware of the possibility of diabetes or dangers of being crushed by a giant marshmallow.
By a gigantic Stay Puft man.
Yeah, but as a kid, that visual of a giant marshmallow attacking New York City is iconic. That's even an earlier memory than Godzilla.
It's
With
so
a big
iconic.
smile.
Or King Kong, right? Because it's so cute. It's so fucking cute.
It's
And
so
it's
iconic
so
that
fucking
people
stupid. That's why I love
so
it.
random. And if you remember how he came about, it was just because Ray was thinking of marshmallows.
That's kind of
Idiot.
stupid. No, but like it's so iconic that people still recreate that in photo shoots. Like a friend of mine did a photo shoot for their baby as a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, they even had like the miniature fire hydrant.
It's so cute. I like in this movie those the little marshmallow men. I like how fucking sadistic they are.
Yeah.
They're
No,
like
no, wait.
gremlins. Okay,
It's
they do not give a shit.
Can
It's
I
like
correct
somehow
you?
they're even more evil than the giant one.
They're not just sadistic. They're also masochistic because you see them jumping on forks.
And they're
grills.
cannibals. They're making s'mores
Yeah.
out of themselves.
That's kind of like that's so weird. They weren't just sadistic. They were also masochistic. Like,
I mean,
Okay.
look, don't get me wrong. Clearly, they were designed to sell me toys, but I kind of want them all. I don't care. It worked.
I like the fact that you were like clear. They were designed to sell me toys,
Oh yeah, well,
Is it
and
like
you,
me?
and you, fine.
but I don't buy Ghostbusters stuff.
Not yet. But really, like Funko Pop, I think put out like 16 different versions of those little marshmallow men in
Oh.
various
Yeah, well.
states of violence.
Oh my
Really
god.
milking the cow, so to
Mhm.
speak.
I would.
But
Oh my god.
They're amazing, though.
I know.
They're amazing. And
I was
can I just say,
squealing. I
like,
even sent Misha a voice note as I was watching it. Were you able to listen
yes,
to that?
yes, I did.
I was like, oh my god, the giggle, little marshmallow man. And I sent him a voice note where I was just like, they're so cute.
Because the sounds they were making also like like making these little chipmunk noises, and smiling and stuff
Yes.
while killing themselves and their other fellow marshmallow men.
And also, can I just say, Gozer's like hotter now because Gozer wasn't hot before. I was confused.
Well, if you're Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, I know, right? What the hell?
Okay,
Olivia Wilde, but
we gotta address how, yes, it is Olivia Wilde because I was
It really
fucking
is.
confused. I watched the movie. I was sure it was Olivia Wilde. As soon as I saw her, I was like, "Oh my god, it's Olivia Wilde!" Yes. And then I looked for it in the credits, and then I was like, "Where? No, it's not her because somebody named Emma Portner is actually in the credits." I was like, "What? I I was so sure it was Olivia Wilde, but
it's both. It's both correct.
yes.
It's both correct. Emma Portner, I guess, for the long shots, was the one doing all the movements for the character of Gozer because it's like a freaky like dance thing.
Yeah.
And then Emma Portner, by the way, is a professional dancer. I guess for the tight shots, they were using Olivia Wilde's face.
Yeah. Apparently, she's uncredited, so
Yeah.
That's another surprise.
Yeah, they wanted to keep it a surprise. I mean, I didn't even know she was in this or J.K. Simmons was in this. This movie was, I mean, it's like fan service to the nth degree, but it still found ways to surprise you, honestly. Because what Mai said earlier, like that ridiculous siren of the Ecto one, that's just like there's a visceral response like from my primordial brain, or even just hearing a proton pack power up. These are like it's like a lightsaber powering up to me because it just triggers a response. But then this movie went the extra fucking mile and actually brought back the OGs, and I could not. I was just. Oh my God.
This is where I'm about to cry.
The point when they brought back the OGs was like, I thought it would have been just a cameo of Dan Aykroyd. When they had that.
Which would have been fine. Yeah.
Which would have been fine because, callback. Okay, they probably won't go with the rest, the other three. And then climax happens, all, shit hits the fan. The world's going to end. The OG show up. It's like, what the fuck?
And Bill Murray is being snarky, and Dan Aykroyd is just being,
happy
obtuse.
to be there.
and Winston, Ernie Hudson, fine. Winston is just like trying to be grounded and keep everybody's feet on the ground. And it was just great. That was just fucking great.
It was amazing. I was screaming, honestly. Because just something I also want to address about the OGs is that they weren't there just for the fan service, just because. I actually love the whole backstory they added. Circling back to how they were setting Egon up to be this asshole, right? And it made you wonder, 30 years after the last couple of movies, what did happen and why was Egon alone?
Why would he abandon them?
Yeah, exactly. And they gave this heartbreaking story of, the Ghostbusters not getting work anymore because they were able to save New York, and they had fights and how they moved on into different lives, and Egon was just like they're still chasing whatever they did back then. And it was just so heartbreaking, especially during that phone call. When Phoebe lands in jail and calls Ray, you hear that, we just fell out. We had a fight. I didn't believe him. Like he just like went crazy and took everything.
Yeah.
And then how it all ends up in the... Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Okay, you continue, please.
I like the fact that, I did mention that this movie could be a standalone movie. But then it also picks up from the original movies, from where those original characters were coming from. Because in a sense, this kind of like I've mentioned it so many times that this movie is a reintroduction to a new generation. It really is. It's because it closes the chapter of Egon Spangler. It restarts the whole thing.
It does.
With another Spangler, with Phoebe Spangler. It's not even the mom, it's the granddaughter.
Spangler. I agree with you completely, but I like that for those of us who, it's not just for people who grew up on it, because like I told you, my mother cried and she's been putting up with me watching this stuff for 30 years now. And I had a friend of mine who binged all three in the same day, and she cried. She has no history with this franchise. And I also have like the kid of a friend of mine. He's like 9 years old. He was just crying his eyes out. He wasn't even alive when these movies came out, but the third one still hit him. And I really appreciated that aspect of it. So when the OGs show up, that's just the fucking icing on the cake, okay? Because it was already a good movie before that. But then they show up unannounced, essentially. But, it just made so much fucking sense. It's the end of the world. Where else are these guys going to be? And of course, they're wearing their outfits and they got their gear, and Bill Murray's being Bill Murray. It was just awesome.
It's fan service done the right way.
Yeah.
And then they took it a step further.
Oh my God! I'm gonna
When you
cry.
when you said the OGs were the freaking icing, you were wrong. This
Oh my
is
God.
the fucking icing on the
Oh
cake.
my God.
Wait, I'm
So when-
crying.
So legit, my crying, guys.
I don't
This
know
is
why.
the part where
I don't
they-
want to look at you. I don't want to look at you. You,
This-
yeah.
You're gonna
Fucking
cry
A.
too. You're gonna cry
No,
too.
I'm not. No.
This is the part where
Why? Because I was always Egon as a child because I had glasses? No, why don't I cry? Fuck you. You cry.
No, it's just
the,
that.
the last part where they're all trying to, cross the beams with their
Mhm,
proton
mhm.
packs, which was the move that they did that Egon said would kill them all, but ultimately told them to do it in the first movie. They do it here with Egon's granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And not only
Egon.
that, Egon's ghost fucking shows up.
I lost
Egon's
it.
ghost shows up.
I
like,
fucking
holy
lost it.
shit.
You have this. You have
is
this
the point when I
side.
cried.
Yeah, you have this.
Like-
You have this shot of the three of them side
Mhm.
view with their
Mhm.
proton pack struggling, and then you see also Phoebe as the fourth person coming into the
The
shot,
fourth Ghostbuster.
and then you see a ghost hand hold Phoebe's proton pack with her. And you
And the
just
sound
fucking
drops out.
know. You just fucking know it's Egon.
God.
Yep. And the sound effects drop out, and you just get sucked into that moment where you see again it's the end of the world, and there are 4 Ghostbusters again, where there were just 3. And holy shit, there's not a dry eye in the house. That was a great fucking moment. And
And I never thought I would cry on this podcast, and never in a million years would I have thought that it would be because of Ghostbusters Afterlife. My God.
No, it's just really, really great writing,
I did
And-
not expect that, honestly. And
Did I?
even, I mean, he was there, and it's fucking priceless when the other guys notice that their dead friend is there too. That was great. Where, everyone does a double take to see, like, holy shit, Egon's next to us. But it was such a heartwarming tribute, that moment and everything that happens after that moment, especially when you consider that Bill Murray and Harold Ramis actually didn't talk to each other for like 20 years after Groundhog Day. They fucking hated each other because they disagreed on what the tonality of that movie should be. Now it's a classic. And Bill Murray has admitted that he was an asshole. He was going through a divorce at the time, so he was just the worst on the set of Groundhog Day that Harold Ramis was directing. And Harold Ramis passed away in 2014. But around 2010, when he knew he was sick, Bill Murray deliberately went to his old friend's house and they made peace before he died. So the fact that Bill Murray would take part in this movie, in Afterlife, after literally 25 years of saying no to Ghostbusters 3, that really said a lot about how much they love this guy. And it shows, honestly.
Yeah.
And not just that, even story-wise, when they set up Egon to actually die within the first 5 minutes, that shocked me. I mean, even knowing that Harold has already passed away, and I thought that was probably the natural way to portray
write off the
things.
character.
Yeah, I thought that was it. That was the end of us seeing Egon,
No.
because they literally wrote him off in the first 5 seconds, and it was shocking to me. But like, okay, let's continue. But then you fucking see him in the end.
Yes.
You know what else is better? It's so much better that it was Ivan Reitman who played Egon for this scene.
For parts of it, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
But that was great.
It was actually only the hand part. He played a hand double for Ghost Egon's hand, while the rest of it was Bob Gunton, who was in
Yes.
Shawshank Redemption. But actually, props to him. Like nobody ever saw his face. They actually VFX Harold Ramis' face into it, like an aged version. But
yeah.
But Ivan Reitman had the most important shot. That hand was the winner. That's where everybody broke down because we all knew that was Egon.
That's when everybody's breath stopped.
Yeah.
Yes,
God,
absolutely.
no.
That
Because
was
you wouldn't-
incredible.
Because I think if you did it in a different way, it wouldn't be as impactful.
Yeah.
But that hand was like,
And I
No.
think also it helps that they didn't make him talk,
yeah,
because that would have ruined the illusion.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
I completely agree.
Yes.
You know, like
And he could say so much more with a look. Like, props to the VFX team, whoever fucking animated this. And I know that's why they needed Bob Gunton on the set, because they needed to get the emotionality of the scene across. So they needed a reference, and they pulled it off beautifully. Like, Bob Gunton was fucking evil in The Shawshank Redemption, but here he just really sells it. You know, you're seeing your dead friend, you're seeing your dead father, you're seeing your dead grandfather, who you never even met. And it's the moment that the entire film has been building up to, and you didn't even know it. And it just works beautifully. In fact, Gozer is secondary at that point, because you know they're gonna win, but
Obviously.
you don't care anymore, because oh my god, right there, that's Egon, and it was great.
oh my God, ugh.
I can't believe I'm still crying.
It's okay. And it gets added resonance when you take into consideration that as we're recording this, Ivan Reitman actually just passed away a couple of days ago. So,
it's so sad.
But before he died, can you imagine how that must feel? Like, he saw his legacy continued by his son. His movie was a #1 movie again. You know, it's like the #1 movie on Blu-ray and streaming now. And, everyone's excited again.
This is the greatest passing of the torch story ever. Like, symbolically in the
holy
movie,
shit.
and then, from Ivan to Jason Reitman. I would love to be in, to pick the brain of Jason Reitman and ask him, like, straight up, like, what was it like working with your father? How much did he learn from his dad? Because you mentioned that he was never into blockbusters.
Yeah.
But his first blockbuster was amazing, and he worked with his dad.
And it was a family project. And the funny thing is, if you look at BTS shots of like Ghostbusters 2, you're gonna see shots of like young Jason Reitman playing with the guys. He was a kid growing up on those sets. And even Bill Murray joked about it. He's like, "Oh, there's that brat again." But now we got to listen to what he says.
All the backstory is making me cry even more. What the hell?
It's just incredible, the amount of love in this movie. And then they tie it off with that bow at the end where it says there's a dedication on screen for Harold. And like, bloody hell. Like, it's impossible not to cry at the last 10 minutes of this movie.
Okay, I'm sure we've all enjoyed this movie, but we've raved about so much about the movie itself, and the characters in it. But would you guys have changed anything, or would you guys have done anything differently for this movie?
Something that I'd like to change, actually, because I would have liked if Janine was around to see Egon's ghost. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because they always had that will they or won't they thing that even extended into their cartoon and even into the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon.
Yes,
there was
I
always
remember.
tension between the two of them.
I clearly remember watching Extreme Ghostbusters and really shipping them so hard.
Yeah.
They just had this chemistry. So, which was weird to me when I rewatched the second one and Janine hooked up with what's his face?
With Louis.
Yeah, with Louis.
With Rick Moranis, which I hated. Even as a kid, I didn't like that.
Yeah, it was
Janine's
weird.
Egon. Janine and Egon forever.
I think Harold Ramis justified it at some point because people have been asking about that. How come you didn't end up with Janine? You wrote this. What the hell, man? He said that Egon, would not know how to deal with a human relationship. He's like man of science. That's what he understands. So I guess that kind of feeds into why he wouldn't know how to deal with having a daughter either.
Well, sabagay, like, if you put this story into account of how he abandoned his family, it would actually even be more heartbreaking if it was his family with Janine.
Oh, yeah.
Diba? So parang, okay, buti
that's
na lang.
horrible.
Buti na lang siguro, I guess. But along the lines of that, if there was also something I would change, it was probably how they gave redemption to Egon as the absentee father. So you have the daughter, the mom, absolutely loathing him from the start. She didn't give a shit about him because that's how she felt all these years. Like, he didn't give a shit about me. I just want to like take his house or whatever he left because I don't have anything. Yeah, exactly. I don't even give a shit about all his antiques and toys and like trinkets and whatnot. Like, I don't even give a fuck. Like, I would just like give them away. But how they kind of like tied together to show that no, he wasn't a complete asshole. He was still keeping track of your life. I just wish it wasn't. I just wish all the memorabilia of his daughter wasn't in a fucking wall like a stalker.
Yeah.
That was like my only gripe about it, because I would have loved to see that. Like, yes, Egon did care about you all these years, but like in that collage, it's like he's stalking her, or it looks like one of those things you see in crime movies where you're like putting together the suspects and all the evidence, you know?
Maybe we could get something more if there was an extended cut. Because this, I don't know, like the editing was just maybe for time's sake.
I mean, maybe, but I think it's more of a production design thing. There is a less creepy way of keeping track of your daughter's life. Like a freaking scrapbook would be fine.
Yeah.
Or something, not a creepy stalker wall.
And in that bit, can I just say, the stuff that takes place in the farm's basement or Egon's little secret headquarters, I really liked it when his ghost was just helping out Phoebe, pointing out clues and stuff.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I thought that's all we were going to get. I didn't expect to see the guy at the end. And it was just, that was something else. But for me, if I could change something, honestly, and I have to be 100% objective here, I loved seeing the OG guys, but there's no explanation for how the hell they got there, where they got their gear, or where the fuck they found jumpsuits. Because Egon stole everything, remember?
Right.
Yeah.
He took everything. But they show up and they look like, okay, we're here. Let's do Ghostbusters 3.
And they have their own shit.
And they have their own shit.
Yep.
Like, did they pass by Egon's secret bunker, get their stuff, and then come out? Like, okay, it looks desperate now. Let's make our big entrance now. Did they wait? Because like when Phoebe and the mom and everybody arrived on the farm, they didn't see another car parked there. There was nothing else.
That was actually my main gripe about it. It was like, they showed up out of the blue. Was that Doctor Strange suddenly port them into there with this wheel circle portal thing?
That's true, because like you also spent a considerable amount of time with the family driving so far to get to that fucking farm. It took them days. They went to motels.
Well, they do have Winston's resources. He might have had
maybe he's got a private jet. I don't know. He's a rich guy now.
They took a private jet to that state and then took a car. An
invisible car.
Yeah. Another gripe I guess I have, it's just a minor detail, but I remember while Phoebe was talking to Ray while she was in jail, Ray was telling her about how the Ghostbusters broke up and everything. He said something about the firehouse now being a Starbucks.
That is true.
Cut to the end, the post-credit scene where you see
abandoned Starbucks.
Yeah, it's not even it didn't even look like a Starbucks. It just looked like an abandoned firehouse. It's like nothing happened. Like
maybe
Winston
is shady too. Like the dad of the
well,
dad
maybe
of the
Winston bought out the Starbucks and threw them out, or maybe like halfway through the edit they realized that, hey, we're making a good fucking movie. We should put a post-credits tag on this thing.
And totally forgot about the Starbucks.
Maybe they shot the post-credits after they filmed the movie and tested audiences for it.
Possibly. Because I really like the post-credits scene in that they incorporated a bit of deleted footage from the first movie that showed Egon and Janine just being sweet before they go off to fight Gozer, where she gives him her lucky coin. Yeah. And they actually incorporate something that's cool. They incorporated bits from the first Ghostbusters cartoon, the real Ghostbusters, where Winston was the one who just loved the car. That was his baby. And you never really saw that in the movies, but they added it in here for nerds like me to appreciate. And even like one of the ghosts from when the ghosts are running all over across the town was actually a toy I can remember having, this one-eyed ghost who could shoot his eye and it would still be connected by the stalk. And, to see that thing in a movie 30 years later, I'm like, holy shit, bunch of nerds made this one. So I guess I can forgive the inconsistencies. Actually, I was more annoyed from a writing perspective by Ray just telling everything of the last 30 years in a 90-second info dump to a complete stranger on the phone.
True.
Because it's kind of lazy, but yeah, okay, I'm on board. I don't care anymore.
Because by that time, you're already loving this movie. So
Yeah.
you're
There's
pretty much
already-
sold.
Yeah,
Everyone's so
there's-
gosh darn charming in this movie.
And speaking of post-credit scene, we are at the end of the movie. We're at the closing billboard, and you see all the names in graphics. And so they enumerate all the original Ghostbusters. And then at the end, Sigourney Weaver's name comes out. And I was like, huh? Where? So I was like, did I miss something? What the hell? Why did I not see her? And then
The other
cut to...
post-credit scene.
Yes, cut to that post-credit scene with Sigourney Weaver doing the little test, the card test
The
thing.
experiment.
The telepathy test.
Yes, the telepathy test Peter was doing at the first movie, trying to score chicks. And now she turned it around and she's doing that to Peter.
I
It's
love
so
that.
cute.
I love that so much because it's it's gone full circle now. That we're ending the story of the OGs and we end it when we first get introduced to Peter.
It's also nice that, that Peter and Dana, Sigourney Weaver's character, actually ended up together.
Yes, I was so happy about that. And they still have that chemistry. It
Yes.
is
they
jumping
do.
off the screen. But I have one question though. What happened to Oscar?
Maybe he can be
He
a
has a
Ghostbuster in the
job?
next one. I don't know. He'd
Yeah,
be like
probably has a
30
job.
now. Holy crap.
Yeah, right? So like what happened to Oscar? I would
He
love
would be
to know.
33 now. What the shit?
Damn. Oh yeah, he would be 33 now.
Yeah, creepy.
If his birthday was in January.
Maybe he's still. What if he still got some Vigo left in him?
Nah. It's all
No,
bad.
I don't know.
I don't know. No, because that whole thing ended when they killed off J.K. Simmons and closed up the portal with, Gozer.
Yeah, but the movie does end with the Ecto-1 going back to New York with its demented siren.
I'm
And
guessing
then
there are more ghosts in the past 38
but-
years since,
what you said about coming full circle. So like the movie at the beginning is Ghostbusters Afterlife, but at the end when the Ecto-1 is going across the Brooklyn Bridge and the logo hits the screen and the OG theme song plays, it's just Ghostbusters. It doesn't say Afterlife anymore.
Oh, I thought it'd say afterlife.
After no.
No,
no.
doesn't. Yeah, no, doesn't.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm just like, they're like, okay, we're back. Let's do some shit.
Yeah. Okay, so be that as it may, we had minor gripes in this movie. I think it's safe to say that we've all enjoyed this whole thing. Just for formality's sake, I have to ask this question. Would you recommend this movie for others?
No, because you're gonna cry. Just kidding.
If you're wearing makeup, maybe not.
I'll say yes, because you're going to cry.
Make sure that makeup is waterproof, okay?
There you go. You have warnings from Mai.
That mascara is gonna drip.
Yeah, aren't you glad you didn't see it in public?
Oh my God. I couldn't even imagine, like, okay, if I still consider pandemic times and I see it in the theater, with how much I cried, I do not know how I would have done it with a mask on. I would have passed out. Just like...
When you sent us that selfie, I was like, oh my God, she bawled out. She bawled her eyes out.
Oh, my eyes sent them a selfie and my eyes were so
Weird.
red. Because
Oh my
I just really wasn't expecting to feel so many feelings.
Yeah. Who knew seeing one hand could, trigger waterworks?
I have a question.
What?
So, like, isn't that a conflict of interest if your best friend is now a ghost and you're a ghostbuster?
No.
Slimer!
No, but then it was closer.
Fair
'cause
enough.
Yeah.
But, if he didn't, evaporate at the end, wouldn't they have to blast him out of principle?
Out of principle, but then because Egon's a Ghostbuster, he would have left by himself.
Because his task on Earth was done.
Yes.
God damn, that was a
Casper
good
rules.
ending.
What?
Honest,
Casper
Hon-
rules. Unfinished
honestly,
business.
Moving forward, I don't need to see the old guys anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should just do stuff with Phoebe and maybe keep Winston as their bankroll. I don't know. Or
unless
Janine
the-
to run the office. But
Exactly.
otherwise, we don't need to see the guys. Their story's done.
Yeah, those guys don't have Horcruxes.
Oh my God. Question is, moving forward, will we be seeing Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig,
No.
Leslie
Please.
Jones? I think we can all agree that Ghostbusters was not
Okay.
canon.
I love the cast of that.
I also love the
Ghostbusters
cast.
movie. Maybe not Melissa McCarthy so much anymore, but I love the cast of that movie. But that movie was just one giant letdown. It's like,
Well, in my opinion, it was still fun. It's just not canon.
I
yeah.
didn't hate it.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I didn't hate it either.
I gave it a good review. I'm not gonna lie. I gave it a good review because I enjoyed it for what it was. But I also will contend that nobody's gonna be quoting it in 40 years.
Yes.
Nobody's gonna be
that's
trying to
true.
make
No,
a sequel
'cause-
to it.
Because the way I saw it, the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, it starts off the same way. The
Kinda,
tone,
yeah.
not scene per scene, but there are certain moments you could actually mirror with the first movie. It's like, oh, they're just kind of like changing things around, but it's essentially the first movie.
Yeah, and it's very different in tone and writing because as
Yes.
for the first two movies and this last one, the writing was more, I don't know, it was more of them trying to tell a good story with added humor in between. But for the 2016 one, they were just like gunning for the humor because like it was just like jokes on jokes on jokes on jokes,
And
which were funny. And it did work with that cast, but it's just so different in tone. So I
Yeah,
just want to look at it as not canon talaga.
Yeah, because it's not the one thing. It's not like the first movie or even the second one. That it's rewatchable. This one's like a one and done.
it was a lot of slapstick. And I think what really got to people, because like if you watch the first one more than the second one, honestly, the first one, it's like such a well-balanced script.
Yes. Yun, mas may balance nga, exactly.
Even when Bill Murray is riffing, is improving his lines, he keeps it within the context of what's going on.
Yes.
But
yes.
in the new one, when they're riffing, you can tell that they're riffing because it 9 times out of 10 has nothing to do with anything happening in the
Yeah.
scene. It
Yes.
doesn't add anything. It's just them
Yep.
trying to throw everything out and then let's see what's funny.
Yeah. So the canon Ghostbusters to me felt more like, yes, we have this well thought out story and then we add jokes in between. But then I feel like the 2016 one, given its cast of all comedians, was really made to be a comedy down pat. Like the horror element, the Ghostbusters thing just was the afterthought to the comedy.
And in the old one, there was like contrast between the different characters. You could tell each one by their personality and all that. Even like if you look at the original cartoon, they look nothing like their movie counterparts, but you can tell who each one is by their mannerisms, by their personalities. In the 2016 one, every single one of them was the wacky one.
Yep.
Well, maybe it was just Leslie Jones who was kind of the sarcastic one. She's like literally the only one I can tell apart from the others.
No, I kind of thought that Leslie Jones was the hard-ass wacky one. There was the smart wacky one. There was the ridiculous wacky one who was Kate McKinnon. And then there was the OA or overacting wacky one who was Melissa McCarthy. So they're all kind of wacky on different tones.
They weren't even trying to make it scary or even make it seem dangerous. Compare when the kids are trying the equipment for the first time, when they turn on the proton pack, when they open the trap, when they fire the
Explosions
gun
happen.
for the first time. Compare
Dude, the
that
freaking
to
car chase was so
Melissa
dangerous.
McCarthy turning it on for the first time, and she's just flying everywhere and cursing, and you're like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't have that in the first movie.
Yeah, we did.
We
Like,
sure
so
as
if
hell
they
did
don't
not have
care
that in
about
this-
their
in
safety, and if
Afterlife.
everything they do has no consequences, why should we care? They literally kill Bill Murray's cameo guy.
Oh yeah, that was weird. That's why I say it's not canon too, because Bill Murray was in it, but not as his old character.
Apparently, Sony threatened him. Sony threatened all the original cast to be in that movie as cameos. Otherwise, they would do something with their royalties from the first two movies.
This is why big studios suck sometimes.
That's why they went on Tonight Show. They went on Late Night saying how great this movie would be, and we're so happy to be a part of it. But now, 6 years later, they're all like, "Yeah, that wasn't such a good idea," and they're happy to have made this one.
Yeah. So I'm glad that happened. At least as much as I enjoyed the 2016 one, especially the whole climax of kicking Ghost's ass and Chris Hemsworth being just so downright stupid but adorable.
I love Chris Hemsworth as a himbo. I have no complaints about Chris Hemsworth. He was amazing.
The thirst is on. But
as a moron. He was an amazing moron.
And the dancing, it's so ridiculous. But yes, I'm glad our last memory of Ghostbusters is Afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have a question though, because you did say that, Ghostbusters 2016 is not canon.
It's not.
Is Extreme Ghostbusters canon?
Yes, Egon's in it.
I say it is because, it's a continuation of the real Ghostbusters cartoon, and that was a continuation of the movies because they refer to stuff that happens in the movies.
Yeah, because the OG still appeared in the Extreme Ghostbusters in that crossover, in that two-part, right?
With the same voices that they used in the 80s. So I can live with that. It's totally.
Okay.
And before we close off, there's actually one more bit of Ghostbusters canon that a lot of people actually forget about, or maybe they just didn't see it. It was Ghostbusters, the video game. It came out on Xbox 360 and the PS3. It got remastered a couple of years ago, so now it's on PS4. It's on Switch. I have it on Switch. It's awesome. Ghostbusters, the video game, was actually, for the longest time, the closest thing we had to a Ghostbusters 3 because Bill Murray kept saying no for 20, 25 years. I'm not going to do a Ghostbusters 3. I hate Harold Ramis. I don't want to put on that heavy backpack again and all that stuff. But everybody agreed to do Ghostbusters, the video game. So all their voices are in it. Even the douchebag government guy who shut them down in the first movie, he's in it. Sigourney Weaver's not in it, but for some reason, Alyssa Milano is as Peter's love interest. It's kind of weird. Okay. But it's set in 1993. Okay, so it's age appropriate for everybody at the time. And you play a new Ghostbuster who joins the team. So it's just an excuse to have you test out all the equipment and you learn the ropes and everything. And it's good stuff. It was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, same as the first two movies.
OG.
So everybody involved, they say Ghostbusters the video game is canon. If you can find it, track it down. It's awesome.
So what happens to the fifth Ghostbuster?
They don't even give him a name. Because just as you're about to introduce yourself in the video game, Bill Murray says, no names. We might get attached to this one. So, because they also make you the guy who tests out all their equipment. So you get to use alternate blast modes and all that stuff. So at some point it might kill you. So they don't want to get attached.
And you wish it was you.
But yeah, there's lots of good stuff. It's really cool. Ghostbusters a video game. And yeah.
Okay. I think that's a great testament to our love of the movie Ghostbusters Afterlife and Misha's love for all things Ghostbusters. Once again, we are the Sub-Auteurs. Once again, we are the Sub-Auteurs. If you want to catch us online, you can check us out on Instagram at sub_auteurs. We are on Facebook at Sub-Auteurs. And we have a Facebook group if you guys want to reach out, talk about some movies we like. We are on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Sub-Auteurs. We like movies. So if you have any thoughts and feelings, let us know. Once again, we are the Sub-Auteurs. I am Anjo.
And I'm Misha.
Misha's holding his proton pack.
Yes, I am. Screw you guys. I'm gonna go blast
Quick,
ghosts.
turn it up.
He's gonna blast Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. Hold it up to your mic. We want to hear that thing.
Oh, wait. Damn it, the batteries are low. What the hell?
Baduy.
Egon will not be proud of you.
No, he will not.
He will haunt you.
For shame.
He will haunt you.
Kala ko ba Ghostbusters fan ka? I thought you would have been more prepared.
2 seconds. Hold on. Let's see how this thing works.
Wala kasing batteries.
I know, right? Let's see. Ah, cool.
He's just showing off his toy.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. Oh, right.
Where's this?
God damn, I love this thing.
It's just so fun.
I know, it really is.
Nerd.
Yes, I am. This is so cool. Look.